Okay, so the first song I want to discuss is Space Beneath the Door. The song is really important to me. It's become the symbol of the band, and it's an oldie, but it's a goodie. And at the time, I wasn't a great audio engineer, so I hope that doesn't detract from the message, but maybe it gives it a little character. Um, so so I used to be Mormon, and I'm not here to talk bad about any religion or any belief system or whatever, but this is just my experience with it, and so I'm not Mormon anymore, um, and for good reason. So I have a all or nothing personality. It's gotten me into some trouble, but I did the 2-year Mormon mission, and while I was doing that, I became quite zealous, and I worked my ass off, and I was maybe the hardest working missionary out there, but I came home not a very good person. So there's things I'm proud of and things I'm definitely not proud of. But so when I got home, I started really stepping on toes, and so fast forward a couple of years, I did the whole Mormon thing, and I got married young to my wife. She's still my wife, and she's amazing, and we've come a long way. But I was not easy to be married to that first year or so. So we got our first little apartment, and it was a small basement apartment, and it was just horrible. The air, it was damp, and I talk about that in the song, but there was literally water like on the walls. You'd put your jeans on and they would feel wet, and it was rough. So, and our marriage wasn't doing very well either, and I take full responsibility for that. I was difficult to be around. And another part of this apartment, well, first let me go back to we had this cheesy plaque on the wall that said family, and it was metal, and because of the amount of moisture, that plaque was starting to rust. And I remember looking at that, and I took that as a symbol, like, oh my gosh, like my family's already falling apart, like my marriage is not doing very well. And so in the song, when I say I hope the rust is from the atmosphere, that is me kind of justifying in the moment, like, I'm probably ruining the family, but like it's probably just the moisture in the air, right? So that's kind of me having that internal battle, like, is it me, is it not me? But in that apartment, there was a space beneath the front door. It was a tiny apartment. It was like the front door, kitchen, bedroom, that's it, and our bathroom was in the kitchen. But that front door had this huge space, and it got really really cold, like in the winter, and there was just nothing blocking that space. So there was one morning where we woke up, we were getting ready for school and work, and my eyes were still adjusting, and I walk into the kitchen to go take a shower because our bathroom was right there. And I look at the floor, and there's all these little specks on the floor. It looked like rice, and I was like, man, did my wife like spill rice all over the floor? But then my eyes adjusted, and there were maggots covering the floor, like all over. It was horrible. It was terrifying. And I mean, we're clean people, we're normal people, I think, so it was just horrible. And so it turns out they were crawling in from under that space beneath the door. And so we called our landlord, and we're like, hey, like, we need help. And they were, of course, like, pest control's not part of the contract, figure it out. So we were just these two stupid kids trying to figure out what to do with this maggot infestation. So I tried to find the source of it, couldn't find it. Anyway, I started just every single night duct taping the bottom of the door closed. And in the morning, we'd remove the duct tape. There'd be maggots covering the outside of it, and we would repeat. We'd duct tape it again, and trying to keep those maggots out. And then it turns out that our upstairs neighbors, they hadn't taken the trash out in like 3 weeks. So it was as simple as taking the trash to the curb that fixed the whole problem. And so that's a metaphor of just how I was at the time. I put all my energy into taping the door and finding the source, and I was trying to protect my little unit, but all that energy was just going in the wrong place. It was much simpler than that, and I overcomplicated it. And that's what I was doing with the church. I was afraid of like letting the devil into our life and not being perfectly righteous, and trying so hard to put all this energy into something that just was not working. And so that door has remained kind of a symbol or a warning to me of how my brain can get into trouble, and it's helped me a lot, and I've overcome some things. So I've come a long way, and I'll never forget that door. So then the second half of the song, there's the tempo change, and that's when I've kind of come to the realization of all these things. But people kind of don't forget. They I was constantly reminded of how I was and who I was, and even though I spent 3 years at that point changing myself and becoming better, there were members of my family and friends who still saw me as that zealot, and how just battling with all that, like regretting how I was, and wishing people could see that I had changed, and all that. So that song is very special to me, and I think one of the moments that really changed my life, and the song opens with that. It's a conversation with my mom. She called me one day and she was like, "Brandon, what are you doing? Like, this isn't you. You used to be different. You used to be vibrant. Now you're so serious, and you're so..." And I think that phone call really talked some sense into me. So that's what the first verse is about. But just my struggle with that. And again, I think religion can be great for some people. It just it wasn't good for me, and I've grown a lot, and we all have regrets and mistakes, and I think it's okay to be open about those things. I am a perfectionist, and I'll be honest, I care how I'm perceived, and so putting this out into the world is scary, but maybe someone can get something out of this, and yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks.